so let us resume with what we are discussing. So we are now on the guidelines or the strategies that you could adopt, the techniques and the styles that you could adopt in order for you to persuade these individuals and in order for you to make these individuals believe in you. So for number one, we have liking. It is easy to persuade people if they like you, which is very true. So if you have a good name, you have a lot of good deeds, you had taken good care of your reputation, your credibility, you had taken good care of your integrity as well, that you have a good person with the good heart, and and you really help the people in the community, you had really helped the countrymen, so your name is in good faith. With that, you could really persuade. You could easily persuade these people believe in you. It's because you are a good person. So if you are a good person, these people are setting you as an example, and since they emulate you that much, tendency is that you could really persuade them to believe in you. And then we also have social proof. It implies that people are moving in the direction you want. So if you observe that there are changes, there are improvements, and there are developments, little by little, changes little by little, it means you're effective. It means you were able to convince these people. It's because they are doing everything they can to change. It's not abruptly, but they are doing it step by step. So if there are improvements, if there are changes, if there are developments, then you had leave your purpose as a writer and you had leave your purpose as a speaker, because changes are being introduced in the lives of these people. Consistency, always keep your word consistent. You have to practice what you preach. People hate liars and people hate pathological liars. So you really have to practice what you preach. If you've mentioned, if you had stated that that smoking is dangerous because it has bad effects and that it has hazardous effect on one's body, then you also have to quit smoking. You also have to stop smoking because you're preaching that smoking could really have a bad effect on one's body. So you have to show the people that you are being true with what you're trying to with what you're trying to persuade. So it means it should come from you. When I say it should come from you, you should stop smoking too, and that you should quit smoking too to to make these people believe in you. Because if you're not really practicing what you preach, then you could never gain the respect of these people. Then we also have authority. People are strongly influenced by experts. So for others to believe in you, just like what we had discussed earlier, you could quote and you could cite professionals who are experts in the field of expertise. Like if we are talking of COVID-19, then you could cite medical practitioners. We have nurses, doctors, midwives, nursing assistants, caregiver, med tech, rad tech. So you could quote all of these people. It's all because your topic is about medicine. And we also have scarcity. People want what they cannot have. Money is the root of all evil. And if you do not have it, if you're deprived of it, then you're really going to do everything you can. And then you're really going to do anything you can just for you to have the money. So it doesn't really matter if you are stepping on someone already. Your goal is to make money, and your goal is to make millions and even billions of money. So you don't really care, and it doesn't really matter whether you are already stepping on someone, because what matters most is that you really wanted to make money. And then we also have reciprocity. Give something to gain something. Give something to gain something. So it should be give and take. Give and take. Like this, I really find your proposal helpful and beneficial. So you would benefit from it. I would benefit from it. Everybody would benefit from it. So it's just like give and take. So that is what we meant by that is what we meant by reciprocity. So it's just like love. If love is just one way, you'd better call it that way, because love is always two way. You really have to love one another. So same as true with reciprocity. It means it's give and take. So guys, down to the last part of the discussion. So with this part, we're going to discuss the different types of communicative strategies that you could use in order for you to gain and in order for you to obtain information. So for the last part of the discussion, we'll discuss communication, or we'll discuss the different types of communicative strategies that you could use in order for you to get the information you need. Okay, at the end of this module, you are expected to obtain, provide, and disseminate information. So you have to collate every information you need, and once you have the information at hand, the next thing to do is to disseminate the said information dissemination means sharing the information to others. One way to obtain information is to ask questions using why, what, who, when, where, and how. This is common and simple way to get information. So if you would like to collect the data you need, or the information you need, one of the possible things that you could do is that you could ask the WHS questions. And if you ask the WHS questions, then certainly you could really solicit, and that you could really get the information you need. So aside from asking WHS questions, you may also employ, or you may also use the different communicative strategies. So you could also gather the data and gather the information you need. So later on, we'll discuss these communicative strategies one by one. When we employ strategy in communication, it creates an easy way for better understanding, because it details the message, audience, and resource of communication. So one of the advantages that you could get, and one of the benefits that you could get if you use communicative strategies, is that the messages the messages become more comprehensible, the messages become more understandable, and if the messages become and if they become more understandable and comprehensible, chances are there would really be understanding between the sender and the receiver. It's all because the messages are being simplified. So we have now the different types of communicative strategies, and we have seven. So for the first one, we have nomination. Nomination simply refers to the introduction and the presentation of the topic. So I'm going to introduce the topic, and for OLCs, for teachers like us, we normally start the discussion by means of saying, today's discussion would be about, today's lesson would be about, the lesson for today would be about. So with the said phrases, we are trying to introduce to you the topics that we need to tackle and that we need to discuss for today. We also have restriction. Restriction means you are restricting, or you are limiting the responses of the audience. Like if the question is answerable by yes or no, then the responses of the audience would just be limited to yes or no. So for instance, for example, would be the economy of the Philippines is getting better. Only stupid that would think about that, right? So your answer to the question would be a yes. It would be a yes because in the first place, you don't really want to consider yourself stupid. And you don't really want to be called stupid. So since you don't really want to be called stupid, although you do not agree with the speaker, your answer is most likely a yes, because you don't really want to consider yourself stupid. And in the first place, you also don't really want to be called stupid. Restriction means limiting the responses of the audience. Then we have turn taking. So with turn taking, it simply states that communication is a two-way process. So since it's a two-way process, you have the sender and the receiver. You have to wait for your turn to talk, and that you have to wait for your turn to speak. Because if everybody is talking, then the communicative process would really be chaotic, and it would really be disastrous. You'll end up having headache. You'll end up having headache. It's all because everybody keeps on talking. So with turn taking, you have to ask for permission. You have to seek for consent of the one who is talking if you could talk. So it means do not Do not interrupt as often as you can. Do not do it on a regular basis. Do not butt in. But if you really wanted to talk, if you really wanted to speak, then you have to ask for the consent of the one who is speaking. So you may raise your hand by you may raise your hand by means of saying, if I may ask, sir. So it means you wanted to add something in addition to what has been discussed. You wanted to add something and you wanted to add more. Or you could also say, may I have the floor, sir? May I have the floor, ma'am? So with that, you are asking for the permission of the one who is talking. So that is turn taking. And then when we say topic control, this is simply the Q&A. This is simply the question and answer portion. And with the Q&A, it keeps the discussion moving forward. It keeps the discussion forward. So for topic control, it's more on Q&A. And of course, when we say topic control, make sure that the input of the students or the input of the one participating in the communication process, the input should not be the ideas, the suggestions, the commentaries that they are having, they should not be out of bounds. So it means they should not be out of the topic. They should still be related to what is being discussed. So we have to check for relevance. Then we also have topic shifting, and we are all guilty of this one. That when we don't really want to we don't really want to answer the question, then we tend to say, next question, please. So it means you're being sarcastic, you're practicing sarcasm, and that you are also being skeptical about it. And when a certain individual is being skeptical of what is being discussed, it means he doesn't really want to answer the question. And with that, for him not to answer the said questions, he is trying to yes, Miss Garrido is right. So the said person or the said individual is trying to change the topic. Like if your friends are asking you, do you still love him? Do you still love her? Do you still have feelings? Do you still have feelings with I mean towards her? And then your friend doesn't really want to answer. So if your friend doesn't really want to answer, chances are he would really uh, he would really introduce a new topic, and that he would really change the topic. For the second to the last, we have repair. So you have to repair communication breakdown. You have to repair what we call communication barriers. Could it really be repaired? Certainly yes. How could it be repaired then? So you could repair it by means of being apologetic, by means of saying sorry. So if you hurt the feelings and emotions of a certain individual, you had uttered words that you're not supposed to say, with that, you really have to be apologetic. And guys, when you do so, when you say sorry, you have to make sure that it's really coming from the heart, that you're really being genuine about it, and that you're really being sincere about it. There should be sincerity, and it should really be authentic. Because if you had said your piece, but the people around you just told you so, then it would never repair the communication breakdown, because you solely did it because the person around you told you so. So another way of repairing communication is that you could seek for clarifications, just like what you did earlier, guys. You would not really follow with the discussion because the presentation is not moving. So it means there is a gap between me and my students, but we were able to address it by means of telling me that the presentation is not moving. So with that, we were able to address the communication breakdown. Okay, and then we also have termination, which is the last one. So termination means it's the end of it. You are ending the conversation. You're putting an end to it. You are already ending the interaction, and you could end it in several ways. You could use spoken words. You could use verbal messages, and you could also use nonverbal cues. Like if you're going to wave your hand like this, you might also use spoken words like ciao, and then you're waving your hand like this, or you said bye or farewell. So it means you are already terminating the conversation in two ways. You had used spoken words and you had also used non-verbal too. And sometimes termination is being prolonged for some reasons. So one of the possible reasons would be follow-up questions from the students. You're also seeking for clarifications, and sometimes there are some classmates who hate it because they really wanted to be dismissed. They are excited. They are excited about it. That is already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That and then everyone wants to go home, but there are still some classmates asking for questions, and some of your classmates hate it, and they hate the idea because they are really very much excited to be dismissed, and they are also excited to go home. So guys, that is the end